The following is an A-Team PR production.
Welcome to the Free Range Texan podcast. We're kind of an escape hatch for everyday life. We know today's world has issues. Maybe that's just all the more reason to spend some time. So saddle up with a bunch of Free Range Texans. Here's one now, our host, Michael Shawn.
Episode 51. Provisioned, fueled, and ready for liftoff. Bringing a uniquely Texan point of view to people dealing with a worldwide pandemic and a few other things in all time zones on planet Earth. We're always thankful to find recording artists that are still out there, working hard to hold their careers together, spending less time on stage performing, and instead finding those inner voices, enabling them to write music and truly find themselves. Now walking out of recording studios and publishing music in words that are nothing short of inspiring. Foxy, the Wonder Dog, continues to further her reputation with various and sundry mail carriers, UPS drivers, and assorted utility meter readers. What can I say? She takes her work here at A-Team PR Studios very seriously. Good dog, Foxy. And no Free Range Texan podcast would be complete without a walk down to Michael Shawn's Campfire. If I do say so myself, we'll get us a cup of that cowboy coffee and do what we do there. And warning, this one may get a little spooky. I guess the bottom line here is we're glad you joined us. The thing to do now is settle up and let's get ready to ride. Texan on the best little podcast in Texas. Free Range Texan podcast. Who's calling?
Roger.
Roger Dykes?
That's right, sir.
The podcast celebrity buddy of mine?
Well, yes, sir. I am your buddy, and I do have a podcast.
I don't know if all of our listeners know it, but your podcast, Roger Dykes, Just Saying, is just getting to be more and more fun to listen to. You've called, Roger, I don't know if you know, I'm right in the middle of doing Free Range Texan, this podcast.
I didn't realize I was interrupting anything.
What did you have on your mind, Roger?
I saw something the other day, kind of maybe happen. Would you like to hear it?
Oh, yeah, Roger. That happens now. That's good.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
Go ahead.
I was going down the highway, and there were these two fellas on the side of the road. And one of them was digging a hole.
Oh, two fellas on the side of the road, and one of them was digging a hole.
That's right. And the other one went right behind him and filled it up.
Typically, they were government workers, don't you think?
Okay, absolutely they were.
All right.
And I just kind of slowed the car down.
I didn't skip ahead to your punchline, did I?
Oh, not at all.
Okay.
I have better material than that. But I just kind of slowed the car down and watched them for a while. I mean, they went many, many, many feet, almost up to a mile, doing the same routine over and over.
One guy would dig the hole and the other guy would fill it up.
So finally, I couldn't stand it anymore. So I rolled down the window and I said, "Hey, fellas, I got a question." They said, "Yeah, what?" I said, "What are you doing?" And the first one said, "Well, obviously, I'm digging a hole." Mm-hmm. And the second one said, "And obviously, I'm filling it up."
Well, there you have it. Yeah.
Is that the normal? I mean, the highway department's paying you to do this? Well, he said there is one slight difference.
Yeah.
He said on a normal day, I dig the hole. Charlie puts a tree there, and Bill fills the hole up. But today, Charlie's sick.
Today's Charlie's off.
There you go.
Roger, thank you so much for checking in on this podcast. I tell you, you are just the smack dab bit of color that we need, and we hope Charlie enjoys his day off.
I'm sure he did.
Adios.
We'll talk to you later.
Oh, Roger. There's only one of you, Roger, and we've got him.
Well, I'm just waiting for my podcast to come on tonight.
That's right. Today is the big day.
Yes, sir. You don't think I keep up with this stuff?
Oh, man. I'm telling you.
Boy, between the Democratic convention, it's going to be tough. Well, it is. I mean, after all.
Okay. Time now for another segment of the Free Range Talent File. Brought to you by A-Team PR, bringing a host of creative media production and public relations services to our exclusive list of clients. Maybe you could hire the A-Team. And now, here's the next segment of the Free Range Talent File. And now, here's our special guest on this episode's Free Range Talent File. Here's Gary Burk III with Like That on the Free Range Texan.
Everybody wants a love that makes everybody else want to love like that. There's a couple in the corner at the coffee shop on the same side of the booth. They've been coming in here for 35 years, but they still look brand new. She scoots in a little bit closer like their first date. Still isn't over the kind of thing that makes you miss the one that got away. Everybody wants a love that makes everybody else want to love like that. Everybody wants to know deep down that this one's gonna last. Everybody wants the real thing, that undeniable feeling. Everybody wants a love that makes everybody else want to love like that. sitting in the sun and you're holding hands and nobody even has to talk. When you walk in a room and her eyes light up, hell, you ain't been gone that long. It's all inside jokes that nobody else gets, the heart that holds all of your secrets, the arms that know the answer before you even have to ask. Everybody wants a love that makes everybody else want love like that. Everybody wants to know deep down that this one's gonna last. Everybody wants the real thing, that undeniable feeling. Everybody wants a love that makes everybody else wanna love like that. I wanna love like that. Everybody wants a love that makes everybody else wanna love like that. Everybody wants to know deep down that this one's gonna last. Everybody wants the real thing, that undeniable feeling. Everybody wants a love that makes everybody else wanna love like that. I wanna love like that. There's a couple in the corner at the coffee shop on the same side of the booth.
Well, that was Gary Burk III, and like that, and what a great way to kick off the free-range talent file. Gary, welcome into the podcast, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
How does a guy like you in Pittsburgh pick up the country bug?
Well, growing up, I was always into the country music, and I mean, my dad was a big country music fan, you know, the older style country, Alabama and things like that. And then when I was real young, I had the opportunity to actually meet the guys from the band Alabama. So it kind of put the spark in there.
Did you have people that inspired you when you were growing up that you listened to and said, man, I want to be like that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, like I said, Alabama was a big one. They were an artist that, like I said, I had the opportunity to meet. I really looked up to them guys because of the advice that they gave me.
What was the advice? Would you share that with us that Alabama gave you?
Yeah, so when I was about 9 years old when I started this, and when I was very young, I had the opportunity to go all the way to Sony Records. They pretty much just said, you know, I needed to be a kid. It wasn't all about the fame and the fortune at the time. It was more important to be a kid and have life's experience.
What great advice. You know, that's a very real thing they told you there. Just go ahead and be a kid. Don't worry about it. The back end catches up with the front end in this business. So, Gary, it sounds like they gave you some great advice, but when you were 9 years old, how did you wind up going all the way to Sony Records?
Well, I have a pretty persistent dad. He was able to weasel his way out, into the music row people and talk to the right people and got me all the way to Sony, and they were interested, and that was when we met the guys from Alabama, and we kind of put things on hold. So
now, when you say they were interested, did you have a product when you were 9 years old? Did you have a recording of a song that you had done?
Yeah, so I actually had remade One Voice by Billy Gilman.
Boy, now, are there any copies of that laying around?
Oh, I'm sure somewhere. I'm sure.
Well, that would be fun here. A 9-year-old singing One Voice, the old Billy Gilman record. Yeah, that would be cool. So even back then, you had a pretty good idea what you wanted to do. Yeah.
I mean, I've been striving for this dream since I was little. So I had a great tour planned this year. Mostly it got canceled, obviously. We've played a couple shows. We did a lot of live shows on Facebook and things like that. But as far as, a full-blown tour, I mean, it's dead in the water.
It's impossible to plan for a deal like this. And it's not just exactly. The entertainment industry, it's everybody. I know that. But you talk about getting your life put on hold. Just one entertainer after another, one recording artist after another. But let me tell you the other side of this deal. The people that I talk to that really and truly would rather write songs than breathe lots of days, those people are writing mailbags full of new music, and now all of a sudden they are producing things that you could like, gee whiz, where did that come from? But they've had the time to sit at home and do that. Are you doing any of that?
So I have a really great group of songwriters that I work with. Been talking to a few people, and we're going to try to put some stuff together here in the near future. But I'll tell you, the songs that I've gotten from my songwriters recently are just out of this world. Like you said, the value of the songs that are coming out, that are coming out of these songwriters is just amazing.
Well, I'm not anybody like the guys in Alabama, but I will give you this piece of advice, Gary. We've been listening closely to the music that you have recorded and the things that you have been doing in the recording studio. And a guy with a talent like yours, I would just say keep your heart and your mind open, because I know there are some great tunes in there. And speaking of that, we've got coming up here a new release. Man, I don't even know where to start with your stuff. For instance, let's let the folks know that Gary Burk III's first single was MTS Records' Friday Night. It reached the top 20 iTunes country charts, and while the follow-up came then immediately, You Got Me, it duplicated the same thing, and Gary released his first album, Show 'Em What You Got, on April 17th of 2020, but of course by then things had begun to slow down. The album features his brand new single, Like That. That single has reached number 2 on the iTunes Country Songs chart, particularly in South Africa, and I always think that's interesting, how those people in South Africa they dig country music, man. And so I've said all that to say this: when we saw all that, we knew we needed to carry that tune, Two-Lane Airplane, on our podcast as well, because big things are happening and forecast for that. Can you tell us a little bit about the backstory on Two-Lane Airplane?
Yeah, definitely. So Mark Narmore, great songwriter out of Nashville. And when it first got pitched to me, I came across it and I was like, wow, that's my song. So I talked to Mark a little bit. We went back and forth, and I hooked up with a friend of mine, Eric Gunderson from Love and Theft. So we loaded up, went down to Nashville, and we recorded the song with him. He actually produced the entire thing. And I just couldn't be happier with how it turned out. It's been out for, 10 days. I think 10 days now.
Yeah. Yeah, we feel real fortunate to have it here in digital form so we can get it on our podcast, and we appreciate you letting us do that. And I know a lot of people say, oh, Michael, you say that all the time. But no, I am serious, man. I watched this video and I thought, man, that touches my heart. And so we knew when we saw that video needs to be put on our blog article about you, Gary, at freerangetexan.net. And when you go there, just click on the blog, and there's a number of pictures of Gary. He's a fine-looking young man. And also, now, that's really your family in the video?
No, it's not.
You don't know how many people I've asked that for, and I think, man, look at his family. They're so beautiful. What is it? Well, no, actually not.
No, unfortunately, that was not my family. I do have 4 kids and a beautiful fiance. Wow. But they were not featured in the video. This video and this song, it got me nominated for the JMAs. I got nominated for Entertainer of the Year, Song of the Year, and Artist of the Year.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Pretty excited. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. We were talking about Two-Lane Airplane a little bit. That song, like I said, it's been out for about 10 days. It's already reached the number 1 spot on the iTunes country charts. It's racked up, I think, almost 40,000 streams on Spotify alone.
That song, Two-Lane Airplane, which apparently is going to be another real smash for you. That's great. So, anyway, here it is, ladies and gentlemen. We're happy to play this one for you. Two-Lane Airplane. This is Gary Burk III here on the Free Range Texan podcast.
All right.
You're a good interview, Gary.
Thank you.
Floating on cloud 9 on maybe 11. Driving like hell and straight for heaven. Hallelujah, honey, you got your mind and body just waiting on me to touch down in my two-lane airplane. 4 wheels can fly, rolling jet speed in the Chevy, bound for the sky blue eyes, burning down this dirt road runway. Got a kiss for your lips and I can't wait. Two-lane airplane, I'm landing in your love tonight. Friday night crazy, going wild in the field with moon-kissed daisies. Be buzzing on your beauty, killing in them blue jeans. We can watch the sun come up in my two-lane airplane. 4 wheels can fly, rolling jet speed in the Chevy, bound for your sky blue eyes, burning down this dirt road runway. Got a kiss for your lips and a
been listening to the Free Range Talent File. If you'd like more information about our guest, just go to our website at freerangetexan.net. Also, submissions to be interviewed on the Free Range Talent File should be sent to our website at freerangetexan.net. Hello, this is Michael Shawn. Let me stop our show clock for just a moment and visit with you for a moment about, well, shop talk. Free Range Texan began in October of 2018. And to make our blog, YouTube channel, Facebook page, website at freerangetexan.net, our advanced publicity email blast, and of course, the podcast itself, all rise up and appear at once, took months of burning the midnight oil. Since that time, we've learned a thing or two about producing what has turned out to be our free-range Texan network. Honestly, we've been so busy producing that it appears we've overlooked something. While other podcasts are continually asking their listeners to subscribe, Free-range Texan, not so much. We just let our listener base grow automatically, and it has. Now we are producing our podcast at a different level. Translation: there are other people involved. Now, it's all good, but in the business of podcasting, much is measured on subscriptions. We can study our analytics to see thousands of unique downloads, but in the end, most of our listeners have not subscribed to our podcast. So whether you listen on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube, or a host of others, simply click and subscribe, will you? It's free, and it truly helps us out here on the Free Range Texan podcast. And as always, thanks for listening. Have digital microphone will travel. Listen to secretly in she sheds and man caves everywhere. You're listening to the Free Range Texan podcast. Hello, this is Michael Shawn. Make yourself comfortable and get you some cowboy coffee there at our campfire. For the past century and a half, Texas residents have lived in fear of the mysterious specter called El Muerto. Literally, the dead one. This lone rider patrols the deserts of the Lone Star State, bringing terror each time he appears. Those who lay eyes on him don't worry about him laying eyes on them. He has no eyes. He is a headless horseman, forever wandering the Texas deserts. El Muerto was first seen during the 1850s, galloping through the wild horse desert region of Texas. The cowboys who spotted him assumed he was one of the local Indians trying to give white settlers a bone-chilling scare. But when they'd send scouts out looking for tracks or for Indian camps, they never found any. It wasn't long before the wranglers realized that they were, in fact, not dealing with Indians playing tricks. They were dealing with what they believed by then was an actual ghost. As reports of El Muerto spread, his general appearance became well known. Everyone who saw him told the same story, that he wore an outfit of a Mexican vaquero. Most reported that his head, topped with a sombrero, was tied to the side of the horse. Many claimed to have seen bullet wounds and Indian arrows hanging from him. However, none who shot at the strange apparition ever managed to slow him down, let alone stop him. The origins of El Muerto as a legend lie in the general lawlessness of Texas during the 19th century. You see, back then, the state was a stomping ground for bandits, much of which operated along the border with Mexico, a no-man's land of lawlessness. Mexican cattle thieves and Comanche bandits roamed freely, stealing tens of thousands of cattle each year from ranchers in the area. The cattle thieves were in an ongoing state of war, led by the Texas Rangers, who patrolled that territory. One of the most famous episodes in the history of the Rangers was their hunt for a notorious Mexican cattle and horse thief named Vidal. Creed Taylor with William Anderson Bigfoot Wallace, two of the most respected and legendary Texas Rangers, made it their mission to hunt down and kill Vidal as an example to every other thief in the state. Vidal was in command of many of the outlaw gangs scattered throughout Texas, and it was said that he had operatives as far away as Louisiana and Mississippi. When the Rangers finally wounded Vidal, they followed through with one of the most gruesome punishments that the Texas lawmen had ever known. Wallace severed Vidal's head, then lashed the body onto a young stallion and strapped the head, still wearing a sombrero, onto the horse's side. The morbid sight became known as El Muerto. The horse rode on through the wilderness, terrorizing travelers who had no idea what it really was. The stories of their encounters and El Muerto quickly became a legend. Some Texas residents finally mustered the courage to track down the horse and its mysterious rider near the small town of Benbolt. When they wrangled the horse, they were shocked to find that the shriveled corpse strapped to it was riddled with bullet holes and full of arrows and spears. Vidal was removed from the steed's back and buried in a cemetery on the La Trinidad Ranch. But a legend this good was not about to die. After the horse was found and the body removed, ghostly images of El Muerto continued to be sighted. Were the stories now so pervasive that people still told them even though the horse and the ghostly rider were gone? Or was the ghost of Vidal so angry at his fate that in death he still roams the desert in discontent? Headless horseman sightings still occur frequently in Texas, and most are thought to be appearances by the infamous El Muerto. It's just another tale, you see, from our campfire. I'm Michael Shawn. Adios, my friends. That was spooky. I think I'm going to be looking over my shoulder out yonder in the desert. It is, after all, just about time for Wheels Up on this episode 51 of the Free Range Texan podcast. A great big thank you to Gary Burk III Our recording artist on this edition of the Free Range Talent File. Gary is a top contender on our Ones to Watch list. Free Range Texan Podcast of the Month is released on the evening of the first of each month. Our behind-the-scenes people would really love to hear from you at info@freerangetexan.net. We give you that listing on the freerangetexan.net website. Plus, while you're there, click on our blog. You'll find Gary Burk III's new video is up there and ready to be seen. And please, 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 please subscribe to the Free Range Texan wherever you consume our podcast. It means a bunch to our crew here, and we really, really appreciate it. That's about all the fun we can pack into this one. Foxy, get in the pickup. Take 'em home, sweetie pie.
For listening to the Free Range Texan podcast, produced at 18PR Studios out yonder in West Texas, with our host, who's been voted the hardest working man in podcasting, Michael Shawn. Feedback or submissions to our program can be submitted on our website, freerangetexan.net. That's freerangetexan.net. This is Sweetie Pie on behalf of Michael Shawn and the crew here in Studio A, where we're all looking forward to spending time with you on our next episode of the Free Range Texan podcast. Y'all come back now, you hear?
An 18PR production. End transmission.
That's all. Can we go now, Dad?